And these are things that people who are performing at the highest levels, they pick up immediately. And that's because they are working on dimensions that we don't even know about. And again, that's one of the problems, is that we don't know what we don't know. And I was training one of my students on the internal aspects of our martial art, and this particular student later that afternoon had a piano recital, which I was invited to attend. So we go to the piano recital, and this particular student, when they called her name, she stood up, walked up to the piano and performed the piece that she was supposed to do, and sat down. And I look over, and here I see her instructor is sitting there crying. And I'm wondering, wow, I wonder what happened here. Then after the recital, her instructor, who was a master pianist, toured Europe at 8 years old, right? She knew immediately, as Rebecca stood up when her name was called, that she achieved the state that she needed to be at, so that she could be invited to this master level type of class. So the teacher comes up to us after the performance and said, "Rebecca, what happened? I knew as soon as you stood up that you were now ready." So these are the things that the masters, which could be the judges, pick up on, are these little things that come out from you that you might not even know, but they pick up on. Another example is I did a weapons kata, or forms, as part of a workshop that was by a master, and what he wanted to do was to see where everybody was at. So he had each of us do a particular weapon kata that he just did. And so I did it in my style, the way I move, and his comment was, I thought this style of movement was lost. And that back in Japan, I was invited to an old kendo school, and they did this style of movement, but I've never seen it since. So these are things that we have as reinforcement that we're on the right direction, or on the right path. To get back to Rebecca, she then went to the master's workshop, and I was never at one of those before, and it looks like what they do is each participant plays the piece on the piano, and the master critiques it. So when it was her turn to play the piano, she played this piano piece, I believe it's Rachmaninoff, and when she was finished, I looked over again to see her teacher, and her teacher again has tears in her eyes. I had tears in my eyes. Her mom had tears in her eyes. And as the master comes up for the critique, naturally he's applauding like this, and he just turns and faces all of us, and he says, "What can I say? This is what it's all about." So if anyone's wondering, like, well, how do we know we're on the right track? When we can get a response such as this, then we know that we must be doing the right things, or at least some of the correct things. Listening on the radio, an interview with a owner of a big sound production studio for all types of music recordings, and he mentioned he gets thousands and thousands of tapes and CDs into his office with people wanting him to hear their music. And he said, I can tell within 2 bars if they're commercially suitable or have the potential to be commercially suitable. And that's another example of how these people know the dimensions and dynamics that are underneath or underlying your techniques. And if they don't see those dynamics, then they know instantly that it is not at the level of performance that they are seeking.